Yes, sir. My Tricker. Back up in this thing, man. Today, I'll be reacting to some creepy videos that'll have you on high alert. Let's get it.
But speaking of patents, though, in hurricanes, there is a patent using sound waves to manipulate hurricanes and tornadoes. This guy named Waxmansky, he came up with using sound waves to quickly evaporate the ocean water to where it could stop a hurricane. It got abandoned eventually because his son too. But then this year, another guy came out with a patent almost identical to his, and it got approved. Where it gets weird, though, it was federally sponsored for the research of this.
The other guy wasn't federally sponsored.
No, but
we just mysteriously, this guy comes up with his patent.
It is
still weird, yeah.
But it says people that helped sponsor the project: 21st Century Fox, the Walt Disney Company, and the Vatican.
Why?
And this is on the patent website. This is on the U.S. patent website.
Those are the three big hitters right there.
And it's like, that's so weird. He claimed that the U.S. government is using his patent already. Someone got a screen grab of the radar of Hurricane Beryl towards Texas. The swirling weird pattern was captured on one of the radars.
I've never seen that.
I mean, you look at that, and you look at that.
That's real.
That's real.
If this technology is in use today, I need to read up on this patent because Hurricane Beryl barreled through the entire United States and Canada, so I doubt it's being used to stop hurricanes. I don't know if the dark line is just a shadow, but it looks like they tried to cover it up with cloud seeding and failed miserably because this only draws more attention to it. The only other thing I can think of is that it's the engine on a Boeing plane smoking through the sky.
So here's a video of a PLA Marine using a bird-like drone that's actually flapping its wings and flying through the air. Now, apparently China's been using drones that were had characteristics of actual birds for quite some time to be used in urban environments because it would be like natural cover and concealment. It's like hiding in plain sight because it doesn't look like a drone from far away, and you wouldn't know it was a drone until you were like holding it right in front of you. But they could still conduct reconnaissance with it and do whatever they wanted with it. Apparently back in 2018 they had a government program codenamed Pigeon, which they started creating drones that look like birds. Now they didn't disclose whether or not they were going to be intended for operations in urban environments, but I would assume that they're trying to use them in any environment where they could, gain an advantage. Now in 2022, engineers from the Middle Kingdom created a mechanical flying bird weighing 1,600 grams with a mechanical wingspan of 2 meters, and it was powered by a lithium battery and was able to stay in the air for an hour and a half. Pretty crazy stuff.
Between the Hummingbird spy drone that DARPA created and now this, it's safe to say I don't trust any birds anymore.
Not only is this the creepiest piece of tech you've ever seen, but they apparently spent 75% of their funding buying the domain friend.com. What you're looking at is a wearable necklace that is always listening to everything you say, and it's supposed to be a virtual friend. It has a feature called Always Listening, and it essentially just listens to every single thing you say, and then it texts you about it so you don't feel lonely. The advertising for it honestly feels like something out of Black Mirror, and they raised $2.4 million and allegedly spent $1.8 million of that on the domain friend.com. And yeah, the CEO says it's supposed to be some big marketing stunt to get attention, and I mean, everyone is sort of talking about it on the internet, but I pre-ordered one just so I could review it if it ever does come out.
I hope they didn't spend too much money on that domain name because I don't see anybody buying this. This is like a life alert for lonely people.
Tonight, imagine getting rid of all of the bad and only remembering the good. Zapping your brain sounds like something out of science fiction movie.
But it could potentially help people. CBS 2 shows you how scientists are one step closer to actually erasing memories.
We call it the Neuralizer. Keep it simple, Slade. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Agent K.
It's simple. In the movie Men in Black, memories evaporate instantly.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here.
That's Hollywood. But now scientists have made groundbreaking inroads that they say make erasing bad memories more of a possibility than ever before.
I think that would be awesome.
That will be great.
So the animal is walking around in this particular place.
At the University of California, Davis, Dr. Brian Wilchin has already proven it in studies with mice.
What we do here is deliver the laser stimulation.
Using pulses of laser light, he was able to get rid of select bad memories.
We we were able to turn off a specific memory in mice.
This is a really big deal.
Mount Sinai neuroscientist Dr. Paula Coxon says it could potentially have many other applications, from easing traumatic memories of child abuse to healing the effects of post-traumatic stress disorder.
It might be actually possible to take out some of the aspects of the memory that are the most unpleasant by having the person be able to recall the memory but not experience the emotion and the fear associated with it.
And she says the research could ultimately lead to innovative treatments for cognitive disorders like Alzheimer's.
We might be able to reactivate those memories and maybe find a new way for those patients to access the locked-in memories and get some of their memory function back.
And scientists emphasize all of these studies so far have been done on mice, and it could be years before we know whether the same results would actually apply to humans.
I'm not sure how they were able to prove that this actually works by simply testing on a mouse without the mouse being able to talk to confirm that it actually had its memories wiped, unless they had Stuart Little in the lab.
What in the ever-living is that? I'm not even tripping. Oh. I'm not tripping, right? What is that? That's an Oscar right now. I think this is it. I think different aliens.
Somebody could have just strapped a laser pointer to a drone, but if not, this might be the second coming of Project Bluebeam that we just don't know about, aka Project Red Beam. I would be inside the house.
Ford just filed a patent that would report speeding vehicles to the police. Basically, every new Ford is going to have a device that'll track all the vehicles that are around it, and any vehicle that is speeding, well, it will automatically get reported to the police. Not only that, this same device is also going to allow them to be able to track your vehicle and report it to the police if you're caught speeding too. They've only filed for this patent so far. It hasn't actually been approved, but make sure you're following and I'll let you know if it does.
If this patent goes through and they actually start putting these on new cars, then they might go bankrupt, because I don't know anybody that's gonna buy a self-snitching F-150.
Did you know there's a whole other city underneath downtown Seattle? This is the original city dating back to the 1800s. When Seattle was first built, it was constructed at or below sea level, causing it to flood often. So after the Great Fire of 1889, it was decided that it would be rebuilt above the flood line. During the rebuild, the old buildings still operated below, as new streets were formed above. The gaps between the two would be connected using ladders. In 1909, fears of the bubonic plague closed the underground streets, although illegal operations would continue. It was abandoned around World War II, and today these underground systems are open for tours. Many spooky legends have been shared about these tunnels, and ghosts have been spotted. It's said that a phantom horse-drawn carriage travels these old streets, and some can hear the sounds of the hooves. Other ghosts include a lady in white, phantom woman near the old brothels, a ghostly bank teller, and dark figures who hide in the shadows.
I find it suspicious that it seems like every major city at one point had a great fire that caused it to have to be rebuilt. This might be more evidence for the mud flood.
But now California is imposing people need to stop grilling food. So then maybe we're just going to use propane. Nope, can't use propane and gas. Oh, so we're going to, well, maybe we can just go out there and harvest, start picking berries. Nope, you can't do that because you're going to mess up the wildlife ecosystem. Oh, maybe we'll just drink water. Oh, you can't do that because the EPA is going to be toxifying your water. Let's just be breatharians and live on the sun. Oh, you can't do that because Monsanto's is going to tax the sun.
Well, we can still bake things in Arizona. You just throw it on the sidewalk and grill it on the sidewalk or in your car.
No, they're going to tax you for the sun use. Maybe we'll just go into the front yard and start eating our grass and start chopping grass. But you can't do that because HOA is going to come along and say that's a violation of house associational violations. There's literally nothing left.
So California wants people to stop grilling food, but I bet they won't shut down the McDonald's grills.
Y'all, I have another Mandela effect for y'all, and quite frankly, I'm getting tired of these because Literally, they're coming after childhood memories. Core memories at that. So, let's get into it. So before I show you this, I got a question for you. What color was Freddy Krueger's sweater? Was it red and green or red and black? Babe, what color was Freddy Krueger's sweater?
It was red and green stripe.
That's what I remember too, red and green. This is what I remember, red and green. Most 80s, 90s babies are going to remember this, right? Nah, it's red and black. I'm for real, it's red and black. That's what they're saying. Literally trying to say that Freddy Krueger wore a red and black sweater. No ma'am, no ma'am, no ham, no turkey. It was red and green. So what do y'all remember? Because I know I'm not alone on this one.
CERN must have recently fired up the Hadron Collider again, because I've seen every single Nightmare on Elm Street multiple times, and I know without a doubt that it's red and green. But let me know what you guys remember.
I don't know if you guys have seen what's going on in Kazakhstan. There is a fire river going on right now. It's happened right here at the end of July. It's very hot outside. All the firefighters are having a bad time. The whole town is very stinky. All the sulfur smelling air is going on. So Kazakhstan has been known for a lot of methane leaks, the second largest in the world before. So this methane here is just rolling. I don't know if it's got into a river or what. There's not a ton of info on it. The town there is on fire, and the firefighters are putting it out. I like that little buddy is encouraging the firefighters. Gave him the old thumbs up at the beginning, trying to help them. So, but it's crazy. I wish I knew more about it, but this is definitely wild. You can tell that's also wind driven, which is never good. So with the heat and everything, that's very difficult. And from what I can tell, this is a little bit in one of the towns from the fallout after.
This looks like one of the 5 rivers in Hades that we learned about in Greek mythology. I know the Fire Academy didn't prepare these firefighters for this.
Listen here. See the legend, live news. See him. She disappeared. Clean. Live news. Is that live news? When's that?
Either they just captured a ghost live on TV, or she just got beamed up to the USS Enterprise.
According to TechSpot, artificial intelligence can now see what's on your computer screen by reading nearby HDMI electromagnetic radiation. And researchers are saying this technique is already being used in the wild. To simplify, it's not AI is scanning your HDMI cable when it's plugged into something. It's if somebody puts, say, a spy device, and I'm using a calculator for that, nearby the HDMI, it can actually scan the leaking radiation from the ports and the connectors and see what is on your screen. It's actually pretty similar to how people used to pick up TV and radio signals back in the day, and this came from Uruguay's University of the Republic and says that their AI-powered cable tapping method is good enough that these attacks are likely already happening, which is absolutely nuts to me. They talk about this in the analog era. You could intercept video signals between devices or through the airwaves, but the data that goes through HDMI cables is much more complex. However, these ports still leak some degree of radiation. So what the scientists decided to do is get something that can scan and absorb the radiation. That's easy enough to do. And then there's a little combination of their own algorithm to sort out some noise and an AI technique to try to reconstruct text pilfered from HDMI signals. And they get around 70% accuracy. So in any given scan or situation, there's a 70% chance the breacher or hacker could see what is on this screen right now, and that potentially means it's easy for hackers to monitor things like password entries, financial data, or even encrypted communications, which is very scary. So in order to pull this off in the real world, what they would need to do is plant a discrete signal capturing device inside the target building, i.e. relatively close to the machine, or maybe hang by with a big radio antenna strong enough to grab the leaked HDMI radiation as it happens. I don't know what's going to happen if you're like me and you've got 2 monitors and a PlayStation and another TV and you got like 5 HDMI devices going on all at once. But the point is the technology is very real. That hackers or spies or government ninjas can see what you're doing based solely on the electromagnetic radiation that leaks out of the HDMI port that you don't control at all. You could put additional shielding on it maybe, but that seems a little weird. And Well, when an article hits public like this, people that never would have had this idea suddenly realize it's possible, and all the bad people in the world are going to rush and try to replicate this. So, in the future, HDMI is soon going to be a security weak point.
You would think that as technology progresses, it would become more difficult for hackers to gain access to your data. Now it seems like it's easier than ever.
So this is our Airbnb. And look what is on the ground. Oh my gosh. Turn around.
Oh god, Dave.
On the avatar. I've been watching too much porn. Don't let her fall.
Careful with your feet.
This is sick.
Okay, I think we're safe, guys.
How far does it go?
Well,
do you see a wall?
The real concern is there something to the left that's a hole? And I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I'm myself. I was down there with this. That is 110%.
It looked like a normal crawl space at first, but if that's a real skull, then they might want to recheck the Airbnb app and make sure they didn't mistakenly book John Wayne Gacy's house. It looks like some type of worm, but this is exactly why you don't touch things. If you don't know what they are, you might end up with the bubonic plague.
You've developed an acting discipline that you've referred to as nouveau shamanic, is that correct?
Yeah.
What are the core principles?
I've been told that all actors really hail from the early medicine men and the shamans in the villages pre-Christianity, where they would put on masks and act out, and really they were probably pretty crazy, but they would go in and find answers to questions. Today you're called psychotic if you do that, but it's all semantics. So what I would do is I'd put on Afro-Caribbean paint, like a white and black paint, and black out my eyes so I look like this sort of Afro-Caribbean voodoo icon, and then I would sew in bits of Egyptian artifacts that were thousands of years old into my costume and gather some onyx or tourmaline or something that was meant to have vibrations, and who knows if it works or doesn't, but for me it was an idea of like trying to stimulate my mind or trick my mind into believing I was this character from another dimension. And I would walk on the set and then wouldn't speak to anybody, wouldn't say a word, so I projected this aura of horror, which created fear in my fellow actors, which then inspired me to believe I really was this character.
Exciting. I'd love to be on set with you.
Yeah, thanks.
He was feeding off of everybody's fear.
But you think of also, he's taking real shamanic artifacts, putting them. I mean, you don't see that in the movie. You don't know that something's sewn into the inside of his thing.
I'm sure method acting probably helps to truly embody the role that you're playing, but wearing Afro-Caribbean face paint and sewing 1,000-year-old Egyptian artifacts inside your jacket is where I gotta draw the line. That's asking to be possessed.
In 2021, a man was hiking through the Appalachian Mountains when he ran across something that greatly disturbed him. While the man was hiking, he would notice and record multiple pieces of trash with long paragraphs written on them. At first, this writing seemed relatively harmless. There was multiple lyrics from various songs and incoherent sentences. But as he walked deeper into the woods, he noticed another set of notes, this time with cryptic messages, dark poems, and even detailed conspiracies about world governments and agents. The contents of the notes apparently creeped the man out so much that he decided to leave that trail completely and hike 2 miles the opposite way in search for a new campsite. However, once he got to his new campsite, he not only found yet another note which he believes was written by the same person who left the previous notes.
I'm just hammered. This writing looks almost exactly like the writing that was on that garbage a couple of miles from here.
He also caught something very strange on camera in the middle of the night. I want you to check it out and then let me know what you think about all this in the comments.
Oh, hi. What? I need to get out of here. Oh, boy.
It's possible that he actually wrote those notes himself to make this video. If not, he should probably immediately leave.
You're saying the government has created weather tampering techniques so that the, quote, New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans. Worldwide. Millions of Americans, and to control the rest.
Yes, sir, and that's my belief. As bizarre as that sounds, if somebody had told me that equipment even existed 10 years ago, I would have thought they were nuts, sir. And at this point in time, we have all the documents to prove it. And if you think that 85 tornadoes takes place in the middle of our growing area by simultaneous accident, I'm sorry. With the equipment that's already set up internationally, and as bizarre as that is, it is proven and documented. We will supply you with those documents. As bizarre as that is, I would say that weather wars, and this is quoting actually Senator Claiborne Pell himself, that they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the senator's own statement. So yes, I do stand on that.
By now, I think we all know that weather tampering is likely happening as we speak, but the fact that this was brought up in the Senate subcommittee is just further proof.
There might be a biological difference in people who see the paranormal. Listen to immunologist Gary Nolan. He spent a lot of time looking at the MRIs of brains of UFO experiences and concluded that these people all had more pronounced bundles of nerves at the head of their caudate and putamen.
Yeah, that they're basically smarter. And they realize what's sitting in front of them, and they don't ignore it.
Nolan is saying that there could be something hardwired into these people's brains that allow them to see things that most people don't. What's even crazier is he's saying that the people who have this trait might be attracted to each other and are passing it on through their children. Are we seeing the start of a new species of man? One that can more easily see things which others ignore or brush aside? Or has this speciation already been going on for thousands of years and we're only just now at the tipping point?
Maybe the people who have demon face syndrome also have this trait as well. I'm kind of glad I don't have it though. That would be a gift and a curse, more so a curse.
What time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party though.
Uh-huh.
No, it'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. And then it will carry on there.
What Diddy was doing at his parties was not a secret. It was never a secret. Ellen knew. We all knew, but that was still her friend.
Yes,
fragrance,
yes.
But why is it called 3 a.m.?
Because we all have a story about 3 a.m. It's in the vicinity of, the time you do that.
One thing that I've found extremely interesting while doing this Ellen DeGeneres deep dive is realizing how many similarities her and Diddy have. Like as far as their circle of people they're connected with, the people who have been very close to both of them for years and passed away, Ellen's ex-girlfriend, Twitch, Diddy's long list of tons of people who have passed away. It's just wild to me how many rabbit holes in the entertainment industry and Hollywood lead back to Diddy. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna go get back to work.
She was asking those questions like she'd never been to a Diddy party, but something tells me that Ellen was a VIP guest.
With a brutal past and over 9,000 recorded deaths, there is no surprise that this might be one of the most haunted places in Australia. These are the ghost stories from our own backyard, so sit down, dim the lights as I tell you about one of the ghosts at Beechworth Lunatic Asylum. The Beechworth Lunatic Asylum is located in Victoria, Australia, and was once known as Mayday Hills. It opened in 1867 and operated for 128 years before closing down in 1995. And the very thought of this place since its opening has sent shivers down many people's spines. This asylum was built on top of a hill, with the belief that the wind would carry away the patient's illnesses. And if this isn't an indication of how mental illness was viewed in those days, then I don't know what is. At its peak, this large facility housed more than 1,200 female and male patients. Now, back in these days, it was extremely easy to be committed to these asylums as only 2 signatures were required. You could be sent to these asylums for literally any reason, and particularly if you were a woman. Some of these reasons included being an unmarried mother, having an argument with your husband, laziness, jealousy, and even for reading too much. This is a list of things that you could be sent to Beechworth Lunatic Asylum for, so I suggest pausing and actually having a look because some of these reasons are ridiculous. During this time, very little was actually known about how to treat mental health properly, and medication wasn't introduced until the 1950s, which meant that many patients underwent treatment that would be considered torture in today's standards. These forms of treatment included lobotomies without anesthesia and severe electroshock therapy. Patients were also often restrained in straitjackets and shackles levels to keep them in check. There are over 9,000 recorded deaths here and probably many more that weren't put on the records. And many people believe that some patients and staff are still walking these dilapidated hallways. At this asylum, there were staff there that genuinely had good intentions and really cared about their patients. Matron Sharp was one of them, and she was said to have been in charge of the women's ward in the late 1800s. Matron Sharp was also said to have been extremely dedicated to her job, that she put her own children into care just so she could keep working and afford a better life for her family. Very little is known about Matron Sharp, but she was known for her kindness and her attempts to improve her patients' living conditions. She introduced home comforts to the ward, such as lace curtains and fresh flowers. Her ghostly apparition has been seen in the women's ward as well as in other areas of the asylum, including the Grevillea wing, where the electroshock therapy and other treatments took place. When the asylum was still operating, many nurses reported seeing Matron Sharp's spirit sitting on the end of patients' beds who were about to go through electroshock therapy. Her presence seemed comforting and reassuring to those patients. Perhaps this is something she also did when she was alive. Those that have ever witnessed Matron Sharp's spirit have said that the room's temperature would drop instantly and the air would turn icy cold. There are so many more ghosts that haunt this place, so if you're interested, I might make a part 2.
Good thing this place closed down, because just looking at this list, overwork and superstition, I would have been a shoo-in.
I'm telling you, if you drink Arizona teas, you need to watch this, because too many people are finding this goop in their Arizona tea cans, and nobody knows what this is. But check this video out.
This getting left right here. What the fuck is that? Wait, let me see this. Wait.
So, yeah. It's a no for me. But y'all let me know what y'all think.
I always knew Arizona wasn't the highest quality since they only sell it for 99 cents a can, but this looks like iced loogies.
Elon Musk, quien se mete conmigo, se seca. Quien se mete con Venezuela, se seca. Elon Musk. ¿Quieres pelea? Vamos a darle, Elon Musk. Estoy listo. Soy hijo de Bolívar y de Chávez. No te tengo miedo, Elon Musk. Vamos a darlo, pues. Donde quiera. Como decimos en Caracas, en los barrios. Si tú quieres, yo quiero, Elon Musk. Di dónde.
Elon might want to call him up and apologize for whatever he said to get him this mad, because he means business. But if they do fight, I'm definitely getting that pay-per-view. But that was the video, guys. Don't forget to sub up, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next one.